Hey guys, it's Josh here. And in this video today, I want to talk about how this black folder changed my reality. And I'm not just saying that. Back in 2020, I was a broke, single dude who lived on a farm, had no success in relationships, no success in business or even career. I was in between jobs. I'd never held down a job for more than a year at a time. Uh, I was drinking, smoking, I was unhealthy, and I really didn't have that much going for me. I was this kind of free spirited dude. And yeah, that was my personality. That was my kind of energy, right? It's this very almost like a feminine kind of going with the flow kind of guy. And in the last 5 years, I've completely transformed. Now I have, a wife, and we have a daughter. We have a son on the way, so I have a family. I'm a husband. Got married, and I committed to my wife in marriage. I've built a business where I help people, and I get to live my purpose every day. I've made over $500,000 in this business. I drive a nice car. I live in a big house. I've got a pool. I've got lots of trees around me with lots of birds that are constantly squeaking, which you might be able to hear. And yeah, I just really transformed my life in the last 5 years. And I was reflecting on it recently because, you know, I kind of forget to give myself credit sometimes, and I forget just how powerful some of these concepts are. And I'm going to share with you today what's in this black folder, because it really did change my reality. It changed my reality in such a massive way. It changed my belief systems, it changed my whole identity and my worldview, right? And so I want to share with you today what's in the folder and how I did that. But I just wanted to make it really clear that this actually did transform my life. And what's in this folder is really a lot of mindset work, a lot of mindset work, a lot of belief change work, a lot of identity work, a lot of visualization and visioning. And yeah, I want to share it with you because it's just been so powerful for me. So by the end of this video, you're going to actually have something that you can walk away with, right? I'm not going to give you everything that's in here because, to be honest, it's just too much for a YouTube video. Like, this is stuff that I teach my clients, and we spend, excuse me, we spend hours helping them build this out. Because, like you can see, I'll flick it through real quick. There's just pages upon pages upon pages upon pages of this stuff. So it's quite thorough and detailed. But what I will share with you is my goals from 2020, right? Anyway, here we go. Josh Holiday 2020 goals, right? Back in 2020, I wanted to help 100 people in my business, right? I wanted to do 200,000 in sales, and I wanted to own a black Tesla, right? Now I've done nearly $500,000 in sales. Well, actually, I've done over $500,000. Probably nearly 600,000. It's over $500,000. I'll put a screenshot. You can see. I've helped 250 people in my business. I own a black Tesla. Another thing that I wrote down here was I wanted to be like, I wanted to have a family. Where did I write that one? Yeah, I wanted to have a family. I wanted to be a father. I wanted to be a husband. And all those things have come true. It's all in the identity here, right? Yeah, it's crazy to actually look back on this and just see, like, here we go, starts a family there, one of those black boxes that was unfilled. So what I did, right, I'll share with you. I made this in 2020. You can see, made in 2020. You able to see that, right? The Josh Holiday story. What I did was I actually went back and looked at my life, and I realized, there's certain things I had achieved right back in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. And I went through and I just wrote like all the stuff that I had achieved. Yeah, I wish I could find this photo. I can't find it. It's here. That one. It's a picture of the desk that was in the tent that I lived in. I lived in a tent on a farm in 2020, right? I used to live in Sydney, and then I moved when COVID happened up to this farm, and I literally, oh, it's crazy. This was a trestle table and like an outdoor chair, which is with legs and made out of plastic. And I had my laptop there, and I had my vision board and everything set up behind it. I don't know if you can see very well, right? But I'll try and add. I wish I had that photo. I just don't know where it is. and I was living in a tent. I was living in a camper trailer. And this is where I built my business. I built my business in a camper trailer back in 2020. So when I say I was broke and I was like single and I was a mess, like I was literally living in a camper trailer just 5 years ago. And yeah, it's now I've really, I've created the business that I wanted. I've bought the Tesla. I've got the wife. I've got the kids. I've got the house. I've got the money. And everything just changed. And what this is, it's actually a very detailed and thorough breakdown of my life vision, right? Like there's some basic details here. I call it the alchemy of self, right? There's an alchemy of self. There's instructions, there's important things to remember, there's a daily ritual to do, and then there's the identity, right? There's a vision board, there's the identity, there's my story, so what I've done in the past. And the reason why that's important is because you've already achieved things, and you probably don't give yourself credit for that, right? But it's important to just remember sometimes how far you've come. And so, I remember that every day now. I remember how far I've come, and that gives me confidence, gives me evidence to move forward, right? And so then I've written out, what I've done in the past. And when you write that stuff out, it kind of looks like a bit of a story. And then what I did then after that is I just wrote the next part of the story. So I just wrote, okay, cool. What happens in the next couple of years? What happens 5 years down the track? And I literally just write it out like it's a storybook. And there's the present moment here, right? But when I look at the past and I see, oh, wow, look at all this stuff I did in the past, right? I can do the exact same thing for the future, but the future hasn't happened yet. So I can create the future. And then I've got this manifesto, and I've got all these different things: past achievements, future achievements, character traits, body type, style. This might seem intense: daily non-negotiables, affirmations, right? All of that is in here. So I just read this every day. And I said to my friend, one of my friends came around to my place the other day, and I showed him this, and he goes, "Wow, that's intense. Like, there's a lot in there." And I said to him, "If you could create exactly the kind of life that you wanted to create for yourself, and all it took was you spending an hour or two to build out something like this, and then just to read it every night before you go to bed, and maybe in the morning before you wake up, so 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes a day to read this thing. If all it took was for you to create one of these and then read it for 10 to 20 minutes a day, every day, and if that was going to guarantee your success in life, would you do it?" And he said, "Well, yeah, that seems like a bit of a no-brainer." And that's how I see this black folder. It's my insurance policy, right? It's like, it guarantees me that I will create everything that I want to create. Because what happens is you reprogram your mind. When you read something like this every single day, and every single day you keep it in the front of your mind exactly what you're creating in your life, exactly who you need to be, exactly what you want to have, every single day you program it into your mind over and over and over again. And what happens is that you end up believing it, right? And then you start to get opportunities pop up in life. There's an opportunity to do this. There's an opportunity to do this, right? Different things will just pop up. You'll have different intuitions, different insights, different guidance, right? Come to you. And then it's your job to take action on that, right? So I really believe that this little black folder changed my reality, because everything that I wrote down in it back in 2020 has come true, right? With the exception of maybe one or two things. And those things they're still in process, right? They will happen. They just haven't happened yet. But most of the things, I would say 90% of the stuff that I wrote down has already happened. Yeah. And other things that I couldn't have ever expected happened as well. So this black folder did really change my reality. And so I'm going to give you something to actually walk away from this training with, or from this video with. I think about these videos as trainings. I think about every time I make a video and I put it onto YouTube, it's like a training, or it's something helpful that someone can actually take away and use. So if you watch my videos, I want to say, firstly, thank you, and I hope you find them helpful, and I hope you find this one helpful. What I would suggest that you do is look at the main 4 areas of your life, right? Your business or wealth, right? your health and well-being, your relationships, and your purpose or spirituality, and write down just one main goal for each of them. One main goal. So here's what I would suggest you do. Sit down with your journal and write down, my vision. And then write down, okay, health and well-being, and put your main goal for that, right? Relationships, your main goal for that. Business or career or wealth, what's your main goal for that, right? And purpose or spirituality, what's your main goal for that? And if you're like me, right, when it comes to health and well-being or spirituality, my goals are actually like a process. So, for example, for me, what it looks like is, for health and well-being, my goal is to go to the gym 4 times a week, to go for a run once a week, to meditate 5 times a week. But that's my goal. The goal is actually the process, not the outcome. That's my goal for health and well-being. For spirituality, again, it's meditation every day, or actually, for me, spirituality and purpose are very tied in. They're very similar. My purpose, helps me to live a spiritual life. And so for me, my spirituality is creating these videos, helping people, right? Teaching, coaching, that's my purpose. And when I live in alignment with my purpose, then I feel like I'm living in alignment, with spirit, with God, with the higher power, whatever you want to call it, right? Because I'm doing my purpose. I feel like that's what I'm here to do. When it comes to relationships, again, like I've got, once upon a time, my relationship goal was to have a family. Now I've got a family. So my relationship goals are, to have monthly date nights with my wife and to be present with my daughter. And then, I've got business and wealth goals as well. We're currently saving to buy an investment property, right? So that's my wealth goal. And I'm still working on obviously building the business and getting more members into the community. I run a program called Anxiety to Alignment. Currently, we have like 40 members in there. I'd love to have 100 members in there just so I can help more people, right? And obviously, make more money. When you help people, you make money. It's a value exchange. That's just how it works. But I do love helping people, right? So yeah, those are my goals. So, and again, these are in much more detail in this black folder here, but I'm just going them over briefly with you. What I would suggest you do is, again, write down those 4 areas, right? Business, wealth, career. What's your main goal, right? Health and well-being. What's your main goal? Relationships, what's your main goal? Spirituality, purpose, what's your main goal? And just get like those 4 main goals. And then underneath that, what I would do is I would write a letter to yourself, right? You could call it the Alchemy of Self letter, because that's what this document is. And again, this is very detailed and thorough. But you could even just write an Alchemy of Self letter to yourself, right? Alchemy of Self letter, and write a letter to yourself and say, dear God, or dear universe, or dear higher power, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call it. And then write down in present tense, I'm so happy now that I've bought my investment property, and my business has 100 happy members that are having fun and learning and having breakthroughs. Every day I'm waking up with so much energy because I'm going to the gym 4 times a week. I'm going for a run once a week. I'm meditating every single day. My wife and I are so deeply connected and in love because we prioritize time together and we have monthly date nights. I'm living my purpose every single day, helping people, creating valuable content that benefits the lives of others. And I'm so grateful that all of this has happened. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, that would be a very brief example of the letter that you could write. If I was writing a letter, that would be what I would write, right? Something like that, because that's in alignment with my goals. But you would want to write whatever's in alignment with your goals. So the main thing is to get those 4 goals down first. And then once or whatever, you could go more, you could go less, whatever, really, it doesn't matter. But get some clarity on your goals and be specific with them. And then write an Alchemy of Self letter that kind of covers each point, and speak about it in the present tense, like it's already happened. And then after you've got that letter, what I would do is I would actually print it out and put it next to your bed. and I would read it every night and every morning. And you're going to reprogram your subconscious mind by doing that, right? When you first wake up and when you go to sleep at night, your brain is actually switching from this conscious active state, and it's this beta brainwave, like stress, 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 and it's starting to slow down to sleep state, right? So it goes into this alpha brainwave state, and then into the theta brainwave state, and finally it drops off into the delta brainwave state. When you're in that alpha theta brainwave state, that is when your subconscious mind is very subjective. So it's suggestive, sorry, it's very suggestive. So when you're putting information in there, it's very suggestible. It goes straight into the subconscious mind. That's why when you're going to bed at night and waking up in the morning is the best time to reprogram your mind. The worst time to be on your phone looking at bullshit and watching random videos of like people that you don't even know on the internet, or like cooking reels or whatever comes up in your algorithm, right? It's pointless information, right? If you want to actually activate the power of your mind before you go to bed and when you wake up, that's the best time to program your mind with new information. So write one of these letters, Alchemy of Self letters, these transformational letters, put it next to your bed, read it every night, every morning, right? And if you want more help, if you want to learn more about what's in this black folder and you really want to go deep into creating a new identity, creating new belief systems, getting so much clarity on what you actually want in life, then I have a program called Anxiety to Alignment. Now, one of the things that stops people from doing this kind of work is that they are so stressed or anxious that they can't even think straight, right? So that might be you. You're so stressed and you're so anxious that you've just got no clarity in your mind. You don't know your ass from your elbow, right? And that I work with a lot of people who have that level of stress and anxiety that's just so high that they just don't even know what they want in the first place. If that's the case, the Anxiety to Alignment program is great because it takes you from anxiety to alignment, where you really know what you want, and we can start to build, the belief systems that you can actually go and get what you want, right? That's what we do with this folder, right? Plus, there's obviously a lot of other, work in the program about reducing stress and anxiety, getting control of your emotions, manifestation, creating the life that you want, reprogramming your mind. All of that is within the program. So if you want to learn more about that program, I'll put the link in the description of this video, and you can go and check out a free training where I walk you through, how the program works and kind of people that I've helped in the past. Other than that, I hope you find this helpful. And if you've ever done anything like this before, if you've actually already done some scripting or, some visualization practices like this, and you have manifested things that you have wanted to manifest, or you've changed your reality just like I have, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So leave a comment and let me know. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.